So the next section to do sketching or learning how to sketch is to do something called thick and thin line enhancement. It's a skill that gets you more points in your GCSE exams and in your coursework, and it also helps communicate a little bit better. The spider technique is based on the theory that if you had a spider on your shape, which is 3D, this spider travels around the shape and it helps you remember which lines need to be thick and which lines need to be thin. The principle is, if the spider goes from one surface to another surface and crosses a line, if you can still see the spider on the new surface, that line stays thin. If the spider then crosses another line and goes onto a new surface, if you can still see him, which you can on this surface, it becomes, or stays thin. Now spider then goes over this line and onto the underside surface. Now it can no longer be seen. That line, or those lines, become thick. I'm using a really exaggerated pen so it's really easy for you to see. Eventually you'll be able to do it without actually drawing the arrows on. So if the spider is over here and he crosses this surface, this line onto the surface, again he disappears. If he disappears, it becomes a thick line. And the principle is all the way around is thick. And the interior lines stay thin. But there are some exceptions. I'll just repeat that again on more complex shapes over here. So this one, you kind of lose the shape in amongst the crate, which the crate helps us draw it, but now we want to get rid of the crate. It doesn't look all that good. And we can't rub it out because I've done it in pen, so we use thick and thin lines to help us. So again, the principle is you go all the way around the outside of a shape where the spider disappears and that becomes thick. And there you go, you can see it much clearer. And you can, if you want to, just take your pen and just kind of go over a little bit thicker so you can see them. However, only the outside lines stay as thick as they are. And it just, you'll notice now that the original crate kind of disappears. It's kind of, you forget it's there, and that's one of the best things about using thick and thin lines. There are other exceptions. If I had a hollow section in my Toblerone packet, just to show you again how this would work, thick lines all the way around the outside. It's almost like a colouring in book. Now over here, if spider crosses onto this surface, you can still see him. Unfortunately, if it goes on the inside of that triangle, we can no longer see him because he's on the inside, so that becomes thick. If he's down here and he crosses this line onto this surface, you can see him, so that stays thin. If it comes round and crosses this line onto that surface, you can still see him again, so that stays thin. So overall, our Toblerone design, we can make them slightly thicker so it gets drawn off the page, and hopefully these crates behind start to get set back a little bit.